If you have built a great product and you have revenues flowing, but you don't have that predictable revenue growth yet, you don't have that scalable go-to-market growth, then it's time to build out your go-to-market plan. Now, when I first started out, baby TK thought planning was a waste of time. So I just jumped to execution. I did the social media posts, I ran the ads, I did the cold emails, but none of it worked. And it wasn't until I sat down with some of the best go-to-market mentors of mine. They showed me how to practically build out a proper go-to-market plan, why it's important, and how that actually helps you drive growth. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 principles that you absolutely need to know on building out your go-to-market plan. And when you implement these steps, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday on actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your SaaS business faster. Now, this happens to be a Wednesday episode because this past Sunday, I published an episode on how France, founder that's inside of my go-to-market program, hit $1 million ARR within 12 months of entering his market. So we figured we'd do the episode that we normally do on educating founders on Wednesday and launch the case study from the go-to-market program on Sunday. Either way, I drop an episode every single week with actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, and you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. Also, if you're already part of this community, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here, especially on a Wednesday when we're launching this episode or whenever it is that you're watching. Now, here's the thing. Only 4% of founders ever hit $1 million ARR, and even less hit 3 million, 6 million, 10 million, which is why I think it's a huge milestone. So every time I'm working with a founder inside of my go-to-market program and they hit one of those milestones, I ship out a trophy. In our case, we've shipped out 15 trophies now for founders that are hitting $1 million ARR. We've shipped out 7 trophies for founders that are hitting 3 million ARR. And we've got countless founders that are adding tens of millions of ARR on scaling businesses that they already have. The one thing all of these founders have in common, they implemented the 3-step go-to-market planning process that I'm going to teach you inside of this video. And when you watch till the end, I'll also give you a bonus step that I teach all the founders as I'm working with them inside of the go-to-market program to implement these 3 steps and make sure that they're set up for success. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's get into principle number 1. Principle number 1 is you have to build out your ideal customer profile as part of your go-to-market plan. Now, a lot of times people have an idea of an ideal customer profile. They're like, we're kind of this and also this, and they mention some variation of a company type and a title. It's not until you actually write down your ideal customer profile, until you do that, you don't really know if you have a proper ideal customer profile. Whenever I'm working with founders to actually implement an ideal customer profile, we follow and tap into 29 different data points. And these 29 different data points helps us truly understand and have the right conversation around what is the ideal customer profile to get to that next stage of growth. A couple of things that you will want to implement as part of your ideal customer profile is you want to pull in the right data and you want to look at it both from a qualitative and a quantitative basis. Sometimes when you're in the early stages, you don't have a lot of data, so it'll have to be more qualitative. That's where pattern recognition comes in from the different markets. Other times you might have a whole bunch of data in your pipeline, in your CRM, and tapping into that will help you actually define a proper ideal customer profile. Whenever I've worked with all of these successful founders, we actually went deep in really fleshing out the ideal customer profile, and I taught them how to pick the right one instead of trying to hedge their bets. So that's step number 1 on your successful go-to-market plan. Once you have your ideal customer profile, the next step in the plan is to build out your manifesto. Now, I call it a manifesto. It is a process that I take founders through, and the manifesto is designed to help you define your value proposition, your messaging, but also it's really designed to help you figure out what your movement is. All great software companies today, whether you're a SaaS company, a traditional SaaS company, or you're an AI company, all great software companies are actually built around movements. It's a new way of thinking for your customers. And the reason a manifesto is so effective is because I get the founder out of the weeds of the software and the features that they're building and really start to think about what do we really want to teach these customers so that they go with you instead of the competition. So you can really tell a differentiated story and they end up choosing you and they end up choosing you now. A couple of things that really go into an effective manifesto is introducing urgency in your messaging, introducing and aligning an urgent and important problem that you're solving, highlighting a macro trend that may be impacting your customers that really captures their attention. All of these little pieces go into defining a proper message for your company. And that's why step number 2 of any go-to-market plan is to build out a manifesto. Now, let me just pause here for a second before I go to the third one and the bonus one. Once you do these 2 pieces, you essentially have your go-to-market plan. The next 2 are really about the execution, which collects the data to feed back into the plan. And I'll explain that in the end. But the thing I really want to highlight, this was the thing that I really learned the hard way, is a lot of times we skip the planning process. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, we don't really write down our ICP. We don't really figure out our messaging. We jump to the execution. We send those cold emails, we post online, we run ads. But what ends up happening is the subject line of your cold emails don't hit. The social media posts and the hooks you're using don't work. Or the people you're talking to don't turn out to be actual buyers because this is not an urgent, important problem for them. And this is why a lot of founders that I meet when they're about to join the program, they say, look, I can convince my existing network to buy. I just can't get net new people to buy. I can't attract net new leads. And the reason for that is the ICP and the messaging is off. But because you have a lot of trust with your existing network, they're buying from you. And sometimes, quite honestly, and I've been there too, so this is no judgment here, sometimes these are pity purchases. And sometimes, they need it and you got lucky, but it doesn't build a scalable go-to-market machine, which is why before you send any more outbound emails or you run any more ads, it's really important to get step 1 and step 2 down, which is your target, your ICP, and your messaging, your manifesto. Now, if you're in this stage where you're building out your go-to-market plan and you want the step-by-step instructions on building out your ICP, building out your messaging, and you want my coaching as you're implementing all of this, this is why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below in the description. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. But let's go to principle number 3, where all this starts to come together. And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just really loves it when you do that, and so do we. Principle number 3 is a Broadway show. Now, one of the other things that happened when I was first starting out is I would be very sporadic. One day I would do LinkedIn, another day I would try outbound, and then I would run ads. And I'd never achieve channel mastery in anything. I would never really achieve effectiveness in anything. And I would never collect enough data to figure out what worked and what didn't work and double down on anything. So the biggest thing I teach these founders that are successful, that became successful, is the idea of a Broadway show. A Broadway show is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities. Now, a lot of times people conflate marketing and sales. Marketing and sales development in some cases is about generating pipeline. This is where more people know about you. And sales, whether you're sales-led or product-led, that whole process is to convert that attention to revenue. And you need a consistent drumbeat of that. And that's what I call a Broadway show. So once you have your ICP, that's your targeting, and your manifesto, that's your messaging, then you need a Broadway show. That's a consistent drumbeat of activities that you're running. And as you're running it, you're collecting data to figuring out what is working and what is not. What do we double down on? What do we cut? And that's how you get that momentum building. And that's the third step in this go-to-market planning process. And the thing that really comes together is as you're running the Broadway show, you're collecting the right data, and using that data, you're going back to the first 2 steps to make it better and better. Based on the data, you're just getting better and better on your ICP and your manifesto. You're tweaking it until it really hits, and then you're able to scale it out. And that's what the founders that hit $1 million, $3 million, and beyond were really able to do. They followed the process and they were able to really scale it out because they hit that message market fit. Now, I did promise you a bonus one. So the bonus principle that I have for you, and the step in the process I have for you, is to visualize your entire go-to-market machine as a flywheel for growth. A lot of times you'll meet SaaS companies that figured out how to get leads and convert to revenue, but they can't keep them. So you have a leaky bucket and they never grow. Other times, they're just not getting enough leads to really hit a revenue number. So one of the things I always teach founders when I'm working with them inside of my go-to-market program is to establish a full flywheel of growth, where you're bringing in leads, you're converting them to opportunities, you're converting to revenue, you're actually retaining them and expanding them, and you're asking your customers for referrals so they're bringing in more leads. And we look at each of these as choke points in the flywheel to figure out where do we need to focus to make this flywheel go faster and faster. That's one of the pro tips that we do once we actually achieve message market fit. Once we know, hey, this manifesto in this ICP with this Broadway show is working. Now, how do we make this flywheel go faster and faster and scale more effectively? So that's the bonus principle and step that I had for you. All right, now let's recap. To build out your go-to-market plan, here are the 3 steps you need to follow. 1, you need to build out your ideal customer profile. Don't wing it. get specific around it, write it down, and actually make sure that you think through the trade-offs. Look at quantitative data and qualitative data. When I work with founders, we do a 29-point analysis to really build out the right ICP. Number 2, build out your manifesto. Don't be boring about it. This is your call to arms. This is how you communicate to the market why you exist and the movement you're creating. So the more effective you are in crafting your manifesto, the more your ICP is going to pay attention to you and buy from you versus the competition. So it's super important to nail this. And then number 3, run a Broadway show. That's your consistent set of pipeline, sales, and marketing activities. These are all 3 that you're running, the drumbeat that you're running to bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis with that really compelling message, with that very specific target. That way, you are consistently generating revenues. And as you're doing that, look at the flywheel and figure out what's actually the choke point, focus on that and fix it so that way your flywheel goes faster and faster. And the faster the flywheel goes, the faster your company is going to grow. So now you know the 3-step process that I follow, plus the one bonus one, to build out a go-to-market plan. And I've done this over and over and over and over and over. What you may not know is, TK, how do I actually build out an ICP? The free templates online don't do it justice, and it's just not working for me. You may be wondering, how do I build out a manifesto? I really want to inspire my customers. I have a unique reason why I started this company. I want to start a movement. How do I actually communicate this? You may be wondering, how do I take that manifesto to that ICP on a consistent basis and run a true Broadway show so that we're not scatterbrained? So if you're in this stage where you're building out your go-to-market machine and you want the step-by-step instructions to actually implement all of this and my coaching so that you're set up for success, this is why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. To learn more about the program, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. Now, due to popular demand, we've been getting so many applications. I was spending a lot of time on calls. So what we've done is we've actually streamlined the application process. All you have to do if you want to join is fill out the answer to a few questions. I will personally review it, and if it's a fit for the program, if I think that I can help you, I will get you onboarded right away. So it's an incredible program. Just go to tkkader.com/GTM. You'll get all the details over there. You'll get the success stories over there. All the details will be over there, and then just fill out the application and we'll be off to the races right away if you are approved. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that, and honestly, so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches. In this case, it's a Wednesday, or you may be watching it on a Saturday afternoon. Who knows? Either way, I consistently bring you content here based on everything that I'm learning as I'm implementing all of this with founders. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside my SaaS go-to-market program, where we'll get to work on actually implementing all this. Take care, everybody. Okay, now I promised you a bonus one. Let's actually make sure that this is still, hopefully this is still focused on me.